Time for a couple of holy mackerel stories in today's news. Expectations are high for tomorrow's presumed announcement from President Obama about what it is we are doing in Afghanistan. Anonymous sources telling the Associated Press that the president will unveil 20 strategic recommendations, including adding another 4,000 military trainers in addition to the 17,000 new troops President Obama has already ordered deployed to Afghanistan. That's all unofficial, of course. If and when the president does make his Afghanistan announcement, you can be assured that we here at The Rachel Maddow Show will cover it with an almost ridiculous, over-the-top, obsessive interest in the details. I'm sorry, I can't stop myself. Meanwhile, as American attention turns toward Afghanistan, Iraq has sort of slipped from the headlines, which is why today the New York Times was able to bury an incredible new development about Iraq, 8 paragraphs into a totally unrelated story about Iran. Literally, there's a headline about Iran dissing Obama and 7 paragraphs about that. And then here's paragraph 8. Quote, meanwhile, in Baghdad on Wednesday, Iraqi officials announced that work had begun to convert the city into a modern version of a walled fortress town. Meanwhile? Yeah, apparently the capital city of Iraq, home to, roughly speaking, about 6 million people, is getting a new wall built all the way around it, medieval-style-y. A spokesman for the Baghdad Operations Command of the Iraqi military says the plan is for there to be only 4 main entry points to the city, at which people passing through will all be systematically searched. You know, just like every other Jeffersonian beacon of democracy in the world that is also a medieval walled city. And a follow-up story for you. In February, Marissa Taylor at McClatchy Newspapers reported that the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency, spent over $100,000 chartering a private plane to fly its director to Bogota last year. Why was that newsworthy? Well, the DEA has over 100 planes of its own, in its own little Air Force, which makes it a little strange that on top of those 100 planes, they would need to pay 6 figures to charter yet another one to fly their director somewhere. The DEA special agent in charge of their aviation division said at the time, quote, was it excessive? I guess you could look at it that way, but I don't think so. That same agent now appears in a new Marissa Taylor McClatchy story about the DEA's Air Force, because he is apparently the guy who decided to buy the DEA 3 new planes. 3 new planes that were considered experimental by the FAA. It's like buying a T-shirt from the irregular bin, if you were planning on flying that T-shirt somewhere at 30,000 feet. Quote, on the way from the manufacturer to the agency's aviation headquarters, one of them veered off a runway during a fuel stop. A month later, the windshield unlatched in mid-flight and smashed into the engine. Then, in a third incident in the same plane, a connection between the propeller and the engine came loose and forced an emergency landing. Wow. The planes have now been grounded and have reportedly been scheduled to be cannibalized so the DEA can sell them for parts. This genius purchasing decision was reportedly made through the mysterious black earmark process that allows certain agencies to keep portions of their budget secret, usually for reasons related to spying. Apparently, these dodo bird planes were first purchased for the State Department and then repurchased by the DEA. We don't know much more about this story yet because, you know, it's all secret.